Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you once again. Today, we want to talk about the various agencies that operate within the built environment in Lagos State. Now, there are many agencies, but today we're going to be looking at some and we'll highlight their role and how important they are to real estate development within the state. Now, some of us feel like they are a waste of taxpayers' money, and some of us feel like they are actually needed at a time such as this. But for me, I'll just say, let's go through their roles and their importance, and then you can make up your mind. Stay tuned. Now, if you like the content you've been receiving, please subscribe to this channel. You can go and like it and subscribe, and also refer it to others so that they may see and learn one or two nuggets or get some points that might be helpful and needful to them. So today we want to start with the LASPPPA, popularly known as LASPA. All right. I'm sure you've seen it on different construction sites, a big cross or a big X marked or painted red. Okay. And then they say LASPA and then they sign it with a date and some other funny designs. Okay. What does LASPA stand for? What does it stand for? Now, it stands for the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority. Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority. And what does that do? What is its role? Its role is it is responsible for issuing development permits and ensuring compliance with physical planning regulations. All right. So you want to build your property, you get a permit from them. And then it ensures compliance. You have to comply with whatever is laid down. Also, it ensures that building projects align with the state's urban development plans and policies. Now, every state of the federation or every state in the federation has a plan, a master plan. They have a master plan for the rural areas. They also have for the urban centers. Now, when developments are ongoing, it shouldn't just be scattered. It must follow the preset plans. And that is why such an institution or such an agency is required to ensure compliance so that you don't have people building residential buildings in a place where there's supposed to be an amusement park and so on and so forth, as is the case with very unplanned and many unplanned cities. Yes, they can seal a building if it doesn't comply. For instance, if you are building a 3-story building in a place where is meant for bungalows, that is a defiance already. That is a contravention. And so they will definitely seal that project. Now, there is another one called the LASPCA. This is the second one I want to talk about, is the LASBCA, LASPCA, which is the Lagos State Building Control Agency. Now, for the popular slang terms that people say, they say LASPCA in Yoruba lingua and slang, they'll say one year where they go. But no shade to them. They're actually doing a very fantastic job. Okay. And the reason people refer to them as that is just because they are more into the demolition of uninhabitable and properties that are not properly fit for living in. Okay, so what is their role? They regulate and inspect building constructions to ensure compliance with building codes and standards. That there is a standard for buildings and there are codes for buildings. There are buildings that must have 2 fire escapes. There are properties that must have fire extinguishers in them. That is LASPCA's job. They ensure that you comply with everything. They also issue certificates of completion and fitness for habitation. So LASPCA issues that certificate. After the person has built, he's ought to get a certificate that this building is habitable. All right? That is another thing that they do. They also conduct stage inspections and certification of building construction. So while your project is ongoing, they'll come and check what is going on the site. Then they identify and remove distressed buildings and properties that are not fit for habitation. This is the one that most people see. The issuance of certificates and the other paperwork, those are back end. We don't get to see them working then. But what most people see is when people see them demolishing buildings here and there. But it is in line with their code of operation. Okay? So they don't just demolish any building. If you get a stop work from LASCA, it's still better you can go and make a case and rectify what ought to be rectified. But in a case where it has gotten to the stage of demolition, then at that point there is nothing you can do. They will remove the building, especially if it has been deemed or marked for demolition. All right? So this is the role. So LASCA is much more concerned about the building itself and the process of erecting it. LASPA, which is the first one I talked about, is much more concerned about what you are erecting conforming to the aesthetics of the state and what is in the state's master plan. Do you get the difference now? So let's go to the next one, which is the LSMTL. LSMTL. And what does this stand for? The LSMTL stands for the Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory. Okay? The Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory. Now, what they simply do is they analyze your construction materials and the things you're using to make the building. So they are much more concerned about quality control. The aggregates that you're using, the cement that you're using, the plumbing materials that are being used, the electrical, the wiring. Is this something that once current passes through it, it will become flexible and melt and then become a fire hazard? So that is their job. And they have every right to shut down a site if it's not complying to standards. Okay? So by testing materials, they play a critical role in ensuring the quality and safety of projects within the state. Now, once again, these other states may have their own agencies that do all these things. But as far as Lagos State is concerned, these are some of the agencies that operate within the built environment. Okay, let's move on. I hope you are learning things here today. There is the next one, which is the LASEPA. LASEPA, LASEPA, which is also known as the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency. This is majorly concerned with the environment and health, public health. If what you're doing, if your project, your site, or whatever it is you're building is something that's going to affect the environment, for instance, your building construction is too close to the drainage or too close rather to a canal and it's affecting the channel of water, you know that thing can cause, coincidentally or incidentally, can cause a pandemic. It can cause overflooding that affects the entire environment. Because maybe you threw some things or the construction site had to dump some things into the canal and it blocked the channel of water and the flow of water. So that could cause an impact every other thing happening within the environment. It's the duty of such agencies to get rid of such buildings and properties. And this has been the case, especially in places like Maryland and some parts of Ikota, where we found out that the state government was demolishing some properties. It wasn't because the government didn't have anything to do or they wanted to just flex their political muscles. No, it was because some of those projects actually encroached into the channel of waterways. So aside LASEPA, we also have the one that we know, everybody knows this, LAWMA, the LOMA. LOMA, everybody's friend. What does LOMA stand for? It's basically the Lagos State Waste Management Authority. So they are majorly responsible for the collection, the disposal, and the recycling of waste within Lagos State. The collection, disposal, and recycling of waste. Now, we've had many people have one issue or the other with Loma. Are there places within Lagos State where Loma doesn't operate? I'm not sure. But are there places where they are more efficient than others? Absolutely, yes. Now, unlike other agencies that have to visit your property and visit your site for you to feel their impact, for Loma, the reverse is the case. All they have to do is not just show up and then you begin to feel their impact.